Hi there. Tell me something. Do you have a good memory? Has your memory ever played any tricks on you? You know what? Forgetfulness often puts you in a tight spot. But forgetting a part of your life completely may drive you crazy. And in this story we are going to read today, Bipin Babu goes nearly crazy because he cannot recollect his stay at Ranchi. Although there are many witnesses to support the fact, he insists that he has never been to Ranchi. What is the suspense all about? Well, we will read that and much more. And before I tell you the story, let me say something about the writer. This story is written by our very own Satyajit Ray. Do you know? He is the first and only Indian filmmaker to receive the Honorary Academy Award for Lifetime Achievement. Now, Satyajit Ray wrote and made films in Bengali. He is widely regarded as one of the greatest filmmakers of the 20th century. In his career, he went on to direct 36 films, including feature films, documentaries, and short films. Apart from writing, he was also a publisher, illustrator, calligrapher, music composer, graphic designer, and film critic. He had even written several short stories and novels, primarily for children and adolescents. The story that we are about to read is one of Ray's stories with an element of suspense at the end. So, let's read the story first and understand the details later. Bipin Chaudhary's Lapse of Memory by Satyajit Ray. Every Monday on his way back from work, Bipin Chaudhary would drop in at Kalicharan's in Newmarket to buy books. Crime stories, ghost stories and thrillers. He had to buy at least 5 at a time to last him through the week. He lived alone and was not a good mixer, had few friends and didn't like spending time in idle chat. Today at Kalicharan's, Bipin Babu had the feeling that someone was observing him from close quarters. He turned round and found himself looking at a round-faced, meek-looking man who now broke into a smile. "I don't suppose you recognize me." "Have we met before?" asked Bipin Babu. The man looked greatly surprised. "We met every day for a whole week. I arranged for a car to take you to the Hudru Falls. In 1958, in Ranchi. My name is Parimal Ghosh." Ranchi? Now Bipin Babu realized that it was not he, but this man who was making a mistake. Bipin Babu had never been to Ranchi. He had been at the point of going several times, but never made it. He smiled and said, "Do you know who I am?" The man raised his eyebrows, bit his tongue and said, "Do I know you? Who doesn't know Bipin Chaudhary?" Bipin Babu now turned towards the bookshelves and said, "Still, you're making a mistake. One often does. I've never been to Ranchi." The man now laughed aloud. "What are you saying, Mr. Chaudhary? You had a fall in Hudru and cut your right knee. I brought you iodine. I had fixed up a car for you to go to Netarhat the next day, but you couldn't because of the pain in the knee. Can't you recall anything? Someone else you know was also in Ranchi at that time, Mr. Dinesh Mukherjee. You stayed in a bungalow. You said you didn't like hotel food and would prefer to have your meals cooked by a bawarchi. Mr. Mukherjee stayed with his sister. You had a big argument about the moon landing, remember? I'll tell you more. You always carried a bag with your books in it on your sightseeing trips. Am I right or not?" So, how did you find the story? In this part, we are introduced to the main character of the story, Bipin Chaudhary. The writer tells us that every Monday, while returning from work, Bipin Chaudhary would buy books from Kalicharan's shop in the Newmarket. These books included crime stories, ghost stories and thrillers. Bipin Chaudhary was such an avid reader that he could finish at least 5 books in a week. You see, he lived alone, was not very social. Also, he had few friends and was not very fond of spending time in idle chat. Now, one fine day, it so happened that while Bipin Babu was at Kalicharan's shop, he felt someone was observing him closely. As he turned around, he saw a round-faced, meek-looking man whose face broke into a smile soon after he saw Bipin Babu. Now this stranger introduced himself as Parimal Ghose. He claimed that they had met every day during Bipin's week-long stay in Ranchi about 8 years ago in the year 1958. He even said that he had arranged for a car to take Bipin Babu to the Hudru Falls. Now, Bipin Babu had never been to Ranchi, so he realized that Parimal Ghose was making a mistake in recognizing him. Although he was about to go to Ranchi several times, he never made it. And so, he politely asked Parimal Ghose if he knew him. Parimal Ghose in return affirmed the same. He narrated the incidents that took place in Ranchi to help Bipin Babu recollect his trip. He reminded him about his fall at the Hudru Falls, where he had cut his right knee. Then he went on to narrate about how the next day Parimal Ghose had arranged for a car to go to Netarhat, but Bipin Babu couldn't go because of his injured knee. He even mentioned someone by the name of Dinesh Mukherjee, who was in Ranchi at that time. Parimal Ghose further reminded him about his stay in a bungalow, and since he didn't like hotel food, he wanted his meals to be cooked by a bawarchi. He also tried to remind Bipin Babu about an argument that had occurred regarding the moon landing. Then he even told him about a bag with his books that Bipin Babu carried on his sightseeing trips. Naturally, Bipin Babu was taken aback. But after Parimal Ghose confirmed the date of his visit to Ranchi, he was sure that the former was making a mistake. According to Bipin Babu, during the October of 1958, he had spent the Durga Puja with a friend in Kanpur. But Parimal Ghose brushed his claims aside and continued talking. Now Parimal Ghose found it equally strange that Bipin Babu did not remember anything. And so he shared another incident when he had tea with Bipin Babu in a veranda of his bungalow. He knew all about Bipin Babu's family. He knew that he had no children and that he had lost his wife 10 years ago. Also, he knew that his only brother was mentally ill and had died insane. But Bipin Babu could not recollect anything about his trip to Ranchi. He paid for the books and soon after he left the shop. Parimal Ghose just stood there looking at him in utter disbelief. So, what do you think? Isn't this indeed a strange tale? Why do you think Bipin Chaudhary was unable to remember about his trip to Ranchi? Or what if the stranger is playing tricks on him? What do you think could be the reason behind this dilemma? Let's keep the mystery alive. You will have to continue wearing your curiosity caps. I will be back with one more session where I shall be revealing the secret. So stay tuned. Till then, bye-bye. TutorMate. For more amazing video lectures, download the free app on the Apple App Store or Google Play Store